Oh, Intel. Come on. Really? What is happening here? This is so disappointing. Oh my God, this is fragile. What the hell? Hey everyone, today we are going to be tearing down the new Intel Arc A770 video card, and I'm a little concerned about it because on the back of it, I can already see there are no visible screws. That means that there's either glue or plastic clips holding it together, and both of those things are potentially destructive to tear down. So we'll see. Hopefully we don't damage any of the plastic pieces. But all the testing's already done, so that's good. And the review is either already up or up soon. Now, we can't really do much other than show this thing today, but this is the upcoming RTX 4090. You can see that they are not only an entirely different class of price for the cards, but also a different class of cooler. I should have picked this one up with my dominant hand. I did not, and now we have to put it back down. But the 4090, we actually have some pretty cool detail coming up on this. I'm not going to tease too much, but if you've ever wondered what the inside of a vapor chamber looks like, then we will have that for you, and it involved dissecting basically a 4090 cooler. So you'll want to, I need this one. You'll want to check back for that. Let's get started with the A770 teardown and see if this thing is a pain in the ass or not. I'm hoping it's not. This teardown was brought to you by us and store.gamersnexus.net. The only thing that made it easier to tolerate this incredibly frustrating video card disassembly was our own toolkit. It's a 10-piece GPU teardown toolkit on the GN store. It features most of the drivers you'll need to take apart a huge range of video cards on the market, including custom ground-out hex heads for things like 20 series cards for PCB clearance, multiple sizes of small Phillips for better grip, Allen keys for occasional blocks, and T6 Torx drivers for cards like this one. We ship them in a roll bag to make it easy to transport, including a GPU teardown silhouette on the screw and thermal pad pouch for easy transit, and they have a 7-year warranty. Grab a kit to support us and get something quality in return on store.gamersnexus.net. Starting out with this thing, this is a separate plate that is within the exterior chassis for the backside. We can also see the front side consists of a light bar here. So this big thing is an LED bar. Inside the fans, there's also an RGB LED ring. That worries me a little bit from a teardown perspective. It's going to be more cables to work with. And down here, I can already see that there's a, I guess, a combined fan and RGB LED cable. Okay, let's try and take it apart. So first of all, there's a tamper seal. They've got a seal right here. You can see I've already kind of pried at it. And that's just a sticker. It doesn't say warranty void. It just implies that they'll know if we do something. I don't know if we have to pop this thing out first. Remember, when we film these, it's before basically anyone else in the world has really posted anything on this. So we're going into this blind. This to me doesn't seem like it's going to pry up. So I think I have to probably pop this whole plate out, which would make sense with the tamper seal as well. Let's take a look. Oh, that thing right there, that is just an RGB LED header. If we pull that, it's got a cable that they ship with it. So that's starting to separate a little. Maybe we just pull it apart. I'm going to remove the PCIe slot frame first and see if that makes it easier. And this is all Torx. This feels like a Torx 6. So oh yeah, there we go. So the GN teardown toolkit for video cards right here comes with 10 tools that we fine-tuned for video card disassembly, including these hex heads where you can get really down on top of the PCB. We grind them down so they have extra clearance. And it includes a Torx 6. Now, if it has any other Torx on this board, you'll need a different card, but different driver. But for some reason, video cards really like Torx 6. So we're able to use our own toolkit from store.gamersnexus.net for that. And you get a 7-year warranty with our kit, and also you're supporting us while getting something that is tuned for video cards in the process. So there's 6 of these. We're just going to take all these out and free, hopefully, the I/O plate. All right, not the best artistry, but good enough for me to know where stuff goes. Okay, so this plate can come out now. I stand corrected. It cannot. Okay, well, we are back to attempting to remove the back. I guess I'll just start pulling on it. Intel was bragging in its blog posts about how it's a screwless design. The only thing that gets screwed is you when you try to install their driver package. But other than that, there are no screws at all to be found in this design. Uh-oh. I feel some glue. Oh, Intel. Come on. Really? Seriously? This is how it's supposed to this is how it starts? This is your debut into, look, we built a video card? What is this? To be fair, it's not glue. It's double-sided tape. So if you don't know, the reason that there's some maybe hyperbole here about glue and tape is it's bad. And the reason it's bad is that if you ever want to do any kind of user service whatsoever, like if the fan dies, then you're going to have to start taking things off that at least leave a mess, if not become basically impossible to replace when it's glue anyway. And a company like Intel might respond and say, well, we don't have any data to support that fans die and users need to replace them, to which we would say, first of all, probably because you haven't sold anything yet. And secondly, fans do die, but companies like to conveniently stop tracking those types of failures after a couple of years. But they forget that people still use these things, and these can be used if the drivers keep getting made for many, many years after. So basic user serviceability is of great importance to us when we're looking at stuff. And this is a terrible start. It's not even I mean, this could be bent by, if I dropped this, it would bend. It's not particularly high quality either. So I think I could literally tear this in half if I wanted to. It's very thin, probably aluminum. All right, well, that was disappointing. It's a screwless design. Isn't it great? Thanks, Intel.
Thanks, Steve.
All right, so getting more into it, here's the leaf spring. That's what's securing the actual cooler to the rest of the card. It's not labeled anything interesting, it's just a part number. Intel has decided to go with this exposed gold look. It's kind of what you see on the Kingpin cards. So it looks kind of nice. It's a shame that they, cover it with something taped to it, but a clear backplate might have been cool here if you're going to go through the effort of that. But anyway, we've got Torx drivers here. Are those Torx? Yes. Torx feels like a 6. That's a 6. That's a 6. So it's Torx everywhere, and they all appear to be a Torx 6. Maybe there's a 7 in here. So anyway, as you can see, it's a screwless design. I think, to be fair, they only said that about the back of it, which, I mean, that would be kind of like saying the plastic housing on the front of our device is a screwless design, or the fan blades are a screwless design. The power connector is a screwless design too. Actually, you know what? Even the cables don't have screws. Amazing. How do they do it? I said this to someone else in the industry recently when talking about why we complain about things that seem small. My answer was, it's not the individual thing. It's like the totality of the contrivancy that drives those complaints. All right, let's get these over on our simple diagram. The mod mats are better, but I did really want the light box to just truly highlight the problems with the card. Uh-oh. Oh, no. Ooh. Nice. Did you hear the quality? So once again, we say, thanks, Intel.
Thank you, Papa. Yeah.
So we got a separate PCB here, some kind of daughter board. It's connected to, it looks like LED cables. Okay, so we got longer screws in here. You can see using a longer one for the part that goes, this is going through there's a rear brace, not like a base plate necessarily, but it's on the backside base plate, going through where, well, the PCB terminates here actually. It's going through into the cooler and maybe the shroud. You know what would be really cool is if they had a way to get the heat that soaks into this plate outside to the air. Okay. That is free. The spring comes out. I'm going to orient that the way it was. Okay. That plate's not free yet. Oh, interesting. Oh. Okay. Simple as that. Great. You can see there's a little bit of a spider web of cables in there, so I'm going to disconnect all those now. All LED. This is a combined LED and fan. Looks very similar to the old, what was it, like 20 pin or something that NVIDIA used. Caused a lot of problems. But this one, oh no, this one's not as popular. That's all right. Okay, fair enough. That one's fine. There's only 6 plus some intertwined cables that are running down to the LEDs down here. They are using headers, though, that are trapping the cables, which is okay if you can reach them to properly release them, but let's do this. I don't have quite the clearance to do what I want, but it's close enough. There we go. Oh, there's more cables. Okay, excellent. Okay. So those go there, and then that, what the hell is going on? Oh my God, this is so contrived. All right, so we have this tiny baby PCB that's for this LED control cable. This is then soldered to a cable that runs over the base plate. What the hell are you doing, Intel? Like, literally just open this once in competitive analysis, or ask Tom, who worked at NVIDIA during this project, and realize that you never want to open it again. What is happening here? This is so disappointing. And plus the board on the bottom. I don't want Intel's product to hurt my table. And again, you can grab mod mats on store.gamersnexus.net. Okay. So I don't like that the board on the backside here just moves around freely. I guess I could screw it back in. All right, that tiny one's disconnected. This one's disconnected. That is taped. This is, it's like literally, I'm having flashbacks to the 20 series. It's almost exactly the same construction. So this, there's like tape in multiple places. They're using the sort of canvasy type of tape to secure this cable and hold it down from, where is this going? This is going to LEDs also. Great. Okay, I'm glad we're using our resources on things that are meaningful. So this goes to a tiny board up here. What does that do, you ask? It makes this white. Oh, there's another cable. I didn't even see that one. There's another cable down in there. I really hate this. Okay, let's do it this way. I'm going to take the rest of these screws out, and then we'll talk about this stuff. They're using a few different screws, though. So this long one with the thicker head is going to be, start tracking them for real now. That's going to be up near the cable. Is that a different screw than this screw? It is. That one is conical. That's different than either of the last two. Oh yeah, you're definitely gonna have to track these screws if you take them out. Aha. That's how it's supposed to come out. So here's that little plate we saw earlier. They've gone as far as including a thermal pad to conduct from the backside. However, because we can only think one dimension deep at Intel apparently when we're designing a video card, you can see that it stops here, because then we encase this in plastic and aluminum, which is a conductor, but is not touching this, and actually just becomes a heat trap. If you're wondering, does it really matter? Ultimately, it's not responsible for a lot, but if you're going to go through all this business, you might as well actually make use of it. And we've shown in testing in the past, like with MSI's Evoke cards, that trapping heat without conducting it into your backplate is bad, especially if you're using things where it creates an air gap and it's fully sealed, like this one is. There's no room for the air to just escape, so you actually just build heat. So even though it's like relatively low heat flux, you're building it over time. This whole thing, so this is one piece that has a diffuser here that pops on. So it's got these little pins that it might actually be plastic welded on, but I think it's just press fit on. And then we've got the threads in the plastic. So those are going to either be born into the plastic or glued. Not a big fan of that approach, but this is a low torque application, so it's okay. Oh, I found one. That was hidden under the backplate also. By the way, also a different type of screw. I'm going to have to actually watch this video back to figure out where they all go. That's going to be a lot of fun. So once again, we say, thanks, Intel.
Thanks, Steve. Ow, my knees.
Okay. There it is. That was a lot of work. There's the base plate. So as you can see, there's a 22, a 21, a 24. This is the month, so it's the 22nd month of the second year. All right, so the actual reading is February of 2022, which is crazy. This base plate has existed a very long time. If you look at the thermal pads, they've got like that canvasy material. So those, they're pretty dense. These look to be about 1.5 or 2 millimeters. Okay, it's actually 2. It's a little bit lower on the outer edge. So that's 2 millimeter pad. So this is just it's an aluminum base plate. It contacts the core components on the PCB over here. The way these work is they help to pull some of the heat away. In this case, it's pulling it away from the MOSFETs. That's what these canvasy pads attach to here. So it's got MOSFET contact. The inductors are actually pretty wide ones. They're sticking through in the middle here. And you can see the R15s, R12s. These are assigned to different parts of the VRM. So the R12s, I'd have to probe it to be 100% sure, but I'm fairly positive this is going to be your core VRM. And then we've got two phases or stages for the memory VRM. And for memory modules, it is all entirely on one side, so all front side memory. There's a total of 8 packages, which makes sense. It's higher density. It's 16 gigabyte for this card. So the exterior of the die, where the diffusion barrier is factored in, is 25.1 by about 16.6 externally. Let's take the cooler with all the appendages sticking out of it. More of the thermal pads. This one is going to be for, that is the inductors, okay. So those pads are contacting the inductors, and this pad is contacting directly, well, actually it's mostly contacting a plate. And then below that plate is these heat pipes. These look to be a standard, they're 8. Okay, so they've got 8 mil pipes here, 4 of them. Those run all the way through the card. This is a very traditional design. It's kind of trivial in that sense, and really not all that special. I don't know why we're making such a big deal out of this thing at Intel. I mean, I guess the exterior is flashy with the LEDs. It's got a nice diffusion on the LEDs, but anyway, this is just a vapor chamber. So they're running a thin vapor chamber here. You can see, well, actually, this is the vapor chamber, and this is just a copper plate. So what's going on here is they're using vapor chamber for contact to the memory. They're sharing that contact patch with the GPU silicon, syncing it all into the same place, spreading it a little bit across over here, and then this is just directly contacted either via soldering or another method to the fin stack, where it can then just dissipate like normally. Well, it'd go into the fins and then get cooled off by the fans, of course. So these, again, just LEDs, just getting power here. And then this board is distributing that power to all the different LEDs that plug into it. Why is this here? There's more glue. Okay, well, I've had enough of that. Let's go ahead and take the actually, let's first clean the die, and then we'll take the shroud, the rest of it off. I was about to grab a screwdriver to clean the die. Okay, nothing on the die, that's fine. Sometimes they label it. Doesn't really mean anything if they do or don't, but that's how it looks. Just might as well have to clean this anyway. Need more alcohol, especially if I want to keep taking this apart. Okay, next one. There's screws down here. These are the same type as the one I marked earlier that was hiding. Just kidding. Not the same. Almost the same. Not quite. What I'm doing right now is I'm going to mark all these with a different color Sharpie than I've used for any of the other ones. So we can track screws pretty well on the mat, on the table, all this stuff, but when there's multiple layers of depth, helps to have one more extra step to make sure I don't screw it up. Ah, nice, when I reassemble it later. All right, it's time. Oh my God. Oh, come on with the tape and the... God, this is gonna this is gonna really suck to reassemble. Of course, Intel's like, what's the problem? Just don't take it apart. My enemy. Yeah, if we really take this down to bare parts and get the other PCBs out of their locations, it's gonna look ridiculous. This must be a nightmare to manufacture. If I were the factory, I'd be like, yeah, that's gonna be extra. Like, just talking to you is gonna be extra. All right, here's the rest of the cooler. It's actually not that big once you get down to it. It's kind of like the 20 series stuff. And I mean, not a lot to talk about here. It's a fin stack that fans blow into. So let's move that aside. Oh, they're Cooler Master fans. If you want to replace these, the part number you would need is going to be here. And the amount of work you would have to do to get to them is so much that you should just throw it out and buy something else, which is probably what Intel wants. To get them out, what you would do is unscrew this. So the reason I'm going to suffer and take every one of these screws out is I want to count them, because this is the most screws I've seen in a video card since the NVIDIA RTX 20 series, and one of those cards had one screw for every ROP in the GPU core, which came out to something like 68 or 72. I don't remember. I could look up the specs of the GPU and we would know how many screws were in the video card design. That's the assembly for the fans. So you're going to have to get those from Cooler Master, hopefully with this frame. And then you'll need to tape them together at the middle, because that's the only thing that's making this rigid at all. So this tape is kind of making the entire thing, it's pulling the weight here, making it all work. That is all the screws for this, but I'm not going to take the tape off. So this will have to be reassembled. Oh, that's got a little PCB on it too. There's the light bar. That's diffusing everything. Oh my God, this is fragile. What the hell? This is so complicated. They spent like real money on this thing. Look at this. There's a fully custom LED bearing PCB. You see this thing? All the way around here, it's a single PCB. This doesn't come off a shelf. Oh my God, these people are insane. Look at this. Like, so Intel also made a circular PCB for the fan. I would be impressed at this if, is this glued? Oh no, this might not be able to come out. There's a certain level of destruction I'm okay with, but this is guaranteed assured destruction, which I'm normally not okay with unless it's required to get into the card. So we're gonna stop at this point. You can see though, like, so it was screwed down and it's glued and it's like basically a one-layer PCB. So it's so thin that this thing's just gonna, it will tear like paper when I take it out. So we're gonna leave that in. All right, so I set that aside. Have I missed any screws? I really just want a total screw count on this thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 20, 21, 22. Did I count those? 35, 36, 37, 38, 52, 53, 54, 55. 2. Okay. All right. It's somewhere between 55 and 56 screws. 55 and a half. There's a few loose in there somewhere. So, I mean, that's it. I don't know. This video is going to be really long with just the teardown. I don't have much else to say in the conclusion. I guess the shortest possible thing is this is built in a way where it is not only inefficient in mechanical design and industrial design, but also functionally impossible to realistically maintain if you ever wanted to, at least in a meaningful way. So the problems are with the design side, it's inefficient, which means it's passed on cost to the consumer. You're talking 55, 56 screws, whatever it is, all these different tiny pieces. This really just sort of like, it's LEDs to a point of sanctimony almost. So this weird tiny flex type of PCB for LEDs, this thing, and I don't know. I mean, at a product design level, I can understand this stuff being cool because it's like, look at all of this attention to detail we put in it. Isn't that awesome? Yes. The problem is the base product is so fundamentally flawed where its drivers don't even really work, where even though these are different teams than the driver development team, there is still a certain perception that comes across where you're like, where is it we were investing the effort in this product, and why was it LEDs? Of course, they're different teams, but ultimately, you're kind of paying for the wrong thing here, and it is really just dressing up something that wants to be much more than it is in reality. Now, our review will have full details on the benchmarks, where I'm obviously, and Patrick as well, both have trouble getting past the fundamental driver issues, but this is very convoluted. It is filled with tape and actually glue. We did find some, and a lot of screws, and it doesn't need to be this way. So Intel, at least on the mechanical design side, please get some real board partners to do this for you. But that's it for this one. We're going to leave the rest of the airtime for the actual teardown. So that's it. Go to store.gamersnexus.net to help us out directly. You can grab one of our teardown toolkits for this. Apparently, you'll only need one driver, and then you'll need something to scrape, glue, and double-sided tape. You can also grab one of the mod mats there. Subscribe for more. Check back for the reviews on these cards. And again, all testing was completed on it before this. So that's it. We'll see you all next time.